Hello everybody, Michael Neff here with Gears Golf. We're going to do a short video here on how to calibrate a golf club. And first step is once you're in the Gears environment, you're going to go up to the Gears icon here and hit Manage Clubs. And you'll see this window pop up right here. Okay, and this basically gives you the opportunity to scale a new club. We call scale, or to make a new golf club. So you're going to hit that button right there, New Club. And you'll see here that a lot of different options show up. You know, there's different manufacturers. We have a Gears. You can just make it a Gears club. The club that we're going to be scaling today is a Nike club. And then you go in here and type what the club is. So this is a Nike VR 9.5 Fubuki. This is important because this is what shows up. Getting that name right is what shows up in the file. So in order to make sure that you've got the right club, you need to make sure that you distinguish the clubs from each other. So if this was an iron, maybe you would put this as standard lie, or if you wanted to scale a longer club, you'd make sure that you put ½ an inch long. However you need to describe it to make sure that you know what club is what. That's really important here. The Gears club model is, you know, we have a few different models here of clubs, so we'll make this a Nike club since it is. The loft is 9.5. This is just, this right here is just for your own purposes. When we scale the club, we report the actual loft of the golf club, but this is what it says it is. This lie angle's 61. And then bulge and roll is something that you would calculate. This particular driver has 12 and 12. If you know what the bulge and roll of your driver is, this won't show up obviously when you're doing an iron or a wedge or a putter because the face is flat. Shaft, Fubuki, again, just, you know, try to get a name so that you can recognize what it is. Stiff. If I wanted to put like it's a Fubuki P, or it's a tipped ½ an inch, this would be a good place to put that. Again, this is here for your naming. This is kind of here for your own, if you want to. You also want to make sure that it's male or female because it categorizes it that way. And then for sure make sure that it's left and right-handed. Okay, so now that I have all this in, I basically need to add the club. But before I do that, I got to make sure that the calibration jig is on here correctly. So as you can see here, I've basically marked up a golf club. And what I've done here is I've put it in the room kind of where I want it to be. I usually have it running north and south, so that, you know, this way, so that you because the cameras are kind of running, this will give it its best view. So as you can see here, there's a temporary marker that comes with the system. You basically put in the end of the grip like that. You can tape that, just make sure it's visible. Then you have two types of these shaft markers. Obviously the shaft clip needs to go on with 3 markers. And there's moleskin underneath this to keep it from moving. But sometimes if you think you're going to have a lot of really challenging environment where people are going to be really rough with them, maybe you should put like a little piece of tape around that. This right here is this is how we know where the center of the shaft is. As you know, we know where the center of the marker is to within 0.2 millimeters, and that's the thickness of a piece of paper. There's these little rubber stampers in here, and these are kind of important. You got to make sure that those are in there, and when you click that on, you want to make sure that it's flush, okay? And some shafts have different diameters here, so sometimes you might need to slide it up or down the shaft, and it can tilt this way. But if you'll kind of notice here, if I don't have these rubber stampers on there correctly, and I kind of tilt the shaft this way, a lot of times that will cause the scaling to go wrong. So you want to make sure that that's level, okay? And that there's a magnet there that'll keep it closed. You want to make sure that's flush. Same thing goes, this is a small marker here. These are the short stems, and these go together. And again, depending on the thickness of the shaft, you might need to move that up or down. See if I can get this to move. This clamp that comes with it, you want to be careful not to crack the shaft. This right here is the head jig. I'm going to kind of turn this so you can kind of see that a little bit better. Okay. So I basically marked put that up there real close so you can see it. Let's get that down there just a little bit. Okay. So you'll see here that there's 3 stems. Okay, this is the longest one and these 2 are the same. The long stem always goes up and the short one goes out this way towards the toe and one goes down. If you have a left-handed club, okay, you'll have to unscrew this and then there's a hole right here that you'll screw it into. Like that. Make sure that goes all the way in. I can get that. I don't have the right thread there. There you go, sorry. And then you would tilt it, for a left-handed club, you would tilt it again so that the long stem is up like that. But for a right-handed club, you want to make sure that the long stem is up top. Okay? And then you want to make sure that the crosshairs are centered over the center of the club. So you find the center of the club, I usually do a little Sharpie there. And then I make sure that this is level with the score lines. And then I also make sure that this head jig is not leaning one way or the other. See that? There are little bumpers on the bottom of that, and that's how we know the distance of those bumpers to the crosshair or the center of the markers. So make sure that that's not tilting one way or the other. Make sure it's flush on there. Okay, and then as far as like the markers on the head go, refer to the video that I made about where to put these, but they can go really anywhere. We want to keep them kind of far away from each other if possible, and we don't want them to be the same distance from each other. So we want to make sure that they're not the same distance. And you can refer to that in the other video that I made. Okay, so once you have this set up the way that you want to, you'll go back to your software. You'll see that the 3D marker, I have the 3D markers set on, and so you'll see those little markers in space right there, and I kind of move this over a little bit so that you can see the 3D markers. Okay, and there should be 14 markers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. If you're seeing more markers, what that could be is some kind of reflection on the shaft itself. It could be a sticker. Ping is notorious for putting that really kind of mirror-esque sticker on the shaft, or if you have a shaft that's super bright, you might start to see some reflections. Some of the lighting in the room might be bouncing off of the shaft, and you'll see some markers here. That's not good. So if you're seeing that, then you need to lower the exposure in the room, or remove the stickers, or turn the light off so that you don't have that reflection. Okay? So once you have the club and everything there, you hit this thing called Add Club. Okay? And then that's how you make the 3D club. And you'll see that it's sitting here in space. So one of the things I like to do before I take the head jig off, and you'll see that the club shows up here and it shows you what the actual loft of it is, and that it's right-handed and it's selected. I usually kind of just go here and I'll just kind of like, bounce the club. And it should be doing exactly what I'm doing to it. If it's not moving, it might be hard for you to see in this, but I just make sure that the club is tracking really well. You'll notice that when it's scaling, these markers turn off. You can permanently put those markers on here by doing this and clicking Show 3D Markers. Then you can actually see that club being scaled. Okay? Now, sometimes the club will show up like half this, or the shaft will be really skinny, or it won't look like this. And what you need to consider when that happens is that the system is not seeing the markers very well for some reason, or the camera, something is causing these markers to not be very visible. That could be too much light, ambient light in the room, and then you need to adjust the exposure, which would be under settings, so you maybe need to turn that exposure down a little bit. Chances are, though, that it's just going to be some kind of reflection or some kind of metallic or mirror-esque something on the golf club. And sometimes some of these irons literally have mirrors on them, which makes our job pretty difficult because mirrors are kryptonite to mocap. So sometimes you might need to just put a piece of tape or Sharpie, black Sharpie, something out if you see that. But anyways, that's how you calibrate a golf club.